Alright, we are recording for the King of the Golden Mountain, which I do not understand what's going on here. Because I do try to mention, and I know I've gotten the last one, this should be story 31 in the Grimm's Fairy Tales. Yeah, I do not know what's going on here. It almost feels like it's two stories that were mashed together that perhaps should not have been. So it starts in a way that's actually kind of recognizable to other stories. Merchant has two kids, son and daughter, which is described that both are so young they're not walking. The daughter, however, completely vanishes, which is kind of part of my whole, I feel like we're getting two different stories here. The merchant put all of his belongings onto two ships to go out so that they will be sold, be traded, and he'll come back and will return. He'll be really wealthy. Instead, both ships sink, so he is now in poverty. But he does have a field that he owns. That is still in his name. So he's out there and he's pacing back and forth, very sad. Then describes a mannequin appearing, but later is described as a black dwarf. Which should be clear that the use of the term black, the image here does depict him as being black, but it would also be black-hearted. See him right there. If there we go. See him right there. So anyway, he offers to help, and this does prove to be a Faustian bargain. But there's also one other aspect to it that is interesting. But when I say Faustian bargain, I mean he is basically the devil in this. Just based on other clues that we get later on. So anyway, he makes the deal that, okay, I will help you. I will give you what money you need, what money you want, if, and this is to the merchant, if you will give to me in 12 years' time the first thing that when you get home that rubs against your leg. Now, the merchant's only thinking about his dog, so, okay, that's fine. And agrees. But when he gets home, it is his son that comes up and grabs his leg because he just happy to see his dad again. And the merchant not only agreed to this verbally, but even signed. So the dwarf, the devil, has a receipt even, which is kind of funny. But one thing I do want to mention is that this concept of the first thing that rubs against your leg, the first thing that would brush against your hat, which we actually saw in Cinderella. First thing you see when you come home, that is, there's a special name for it, but it's out of tradition. So if you know the Witcher series much at all, I'm going to focus mainly on the games. I don't really know the books that well, but I'm pretty sure it is in the books. The way Geralt got Ciri as an adopted daughter was he helped her father, and it was the whole, and this is also something that Witchers could always either ask for money payment or we ask for this. I don't remember what the name of the tradition is, where the first thing you see when you come home, that is what will be given to the Witcher. Father went home, first thing he saw was his daughter, so Ciri had to be given over to Geralt. So 12 years pass, and the merchant does get the money. At first he was thinking, oh good, I haven't gotten it yet. Deal's off, that's all fine. But then the money does appear. It's like, oh crap. He becomes a greater merchant than he had ever been before. And the son grows up to be a very fine, clever young man. Although I do want to get into some of that a little bit, because it gets weird. Some of this does get a little weird. And the merchant starts becoming very sad as 12 years approaches. Son's asking why. Finally, he tells him. And the son is like, I'm not afraid. I'm okay with this. And the priest blessed me. It'll all be fine. So they go back to the site, as was part of the arrangement, and the son actually draws a circle around them, which that image I was showing you can see it in there, which is symbolic. I don't remember fully the tradition of that. But the devil would not necessarily be able to cross that. That it would be a way to ward him away. Would still be there to talk, and indeed they do talk, the devil and the son. Not the father. The father keeps his mouth shut. But eventually, the son basically argues that you betrayed my father, so this isn't valid. But ultimately, they come to the conclusion, okay, I don't belong to my dad, but I also don't belong to the enemy of mankind, is how it's one more page. Well, yeah, they spoke together for a long time after this, but at last they agreed that the son, as he did not belong to the enemy of mankind, nor yet to his father, should seat himself in a small boat, which would lie on water which was flowing away from them, and that the father should push it off with his own foot. And so, being given up to the water, to fate, all that, separated from his father. But it is interesting, this did not belong to the enemy of mankind, and also the reference earlier that I did mention about, where is it? The son had himself been blessed by the priest, and when the time came, so this is why I'm pretty sure that the Black Dwarf here, the mannequin, is supposed to be the devil, or at least a demon. And it's also the circle, to a degree, is also potentially symbolic of that. There's a protective circle warding off this evil. So anyway, he gets put into the boat. It capsizes, but he survives. The father thinks he's dead, and eventually he is on an unknown shore, climbing up, finds a castle that is bewitched. Doesn't find anything in there until he comes across a snake that's in a ring. And the snake is actually a princess and explains, I've been charmed and all that, blah, blah, blah. And says, okay, so here's how you can free me, if you're willing to. There's going to come 12 black men in chains. It's referring to black-hearted men, I'm certain. So basically more of the demons, who are going to harass you and try to make you answer their questions, all that. Don't say anything to them. Just let whatever they want to do to you, let them do that. That's going to happen first night, ends at midnight. Well, it says 12 o'clock. I assume they mean midnight. Next day, 12 other men are going to come do the same thing. Third day, 24 men are going to come. They're even going to cut your head off. But still, don't respond to them. And don't worry, because once they vanish, curse on me will be broken. I got the water of life. I'll put that on you, bring you back to life. All good. And he says, okay. And he actually manages this. He succeeds. Curse is broken on her. He's alive again. They get married, have a kid. 8 years pass, and now he's thinking about his dad. Now, this is where it really feels like the story has suddenly getting a different story. But also is a little weird because it's like he went from not being able to walk to 12 years later, now being at this castle, marrying this princess. Then it describes 8 years passes. So he is now 20. Or thereabouts, 20, 21, something like that. But his son is 7 years old. He became a dad at 13, it seems. I mean, it's like, this just seems a little odd. I mean, I know things like that, the ages were different back at the time of the story, but there's still, like, ages that people were at when getting married and all that were different, but this still seems a little early. Anyway. So he's now wishing to see his father again. And she tells him, okay, I know if I let you do this, I'm going to suffer, so I really don't want to do this, but here's this wishing ring. You put it on, you wish to be there, you will go there. But here's the deal. You cannot wish that I leave the castle, to come to your father. If you do that, I know there will be suffering. And he's like, I promise. This he will actually fail. Goes back home, well, to the town. At first is told he can't enter because it's like, who the hell are you? Dressed up like a king. We don't know you. Won't let you in. That seems a little odd, but in any case. He goes, trades clothes with a shepherd. So now he's let in, no problem. Not very good security. Goes to his father and his mother. Now the mother's being talked about. The daughter is still not being mentioned. Like, she just existed and no longer does. And the mother, who was not mentioned, is now present. He manages to convince them that, yes, he is their son. Because, like, was there no mark on me that you would know? It's like, well, under your right arm, there was this raspberry mark. It's like, there you go. Oh, it's you. But then what was it? He's, like, telling the story of something, and... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he tells the story, and the father, then it certainly is not true. It is a fine kind of a king who goes about in a ragged shepherd's coat. I had to do that to get in here, Dad. It's like, do you want? We can go and find the shepherd. He would still have them. I mean, it's no solutions here. But instead, and it makes sense, he, in frustration, wishes his wife and son to be there. So he breaks his promise. He didn't mean to. It was an accident. And he does tell her that, but she's still upset. Eventually, they walk out, go out of the town, and he's basically showing them, and this is where I was putting the boat and cast off. Cool, right? He is then tired and is like, let me lie down, take a nap in your lap. And she says, okay. He falls asleep. Oh yeah, that's right, we also lose that. Anyway, I'll get to that. She now, while he is asleep, takes the ring away from him and slips out from underneath him, but does leave her slipper there as a token to, like, prove this. She then takes the son and uses the ring to teleport back to their castle. So he awakens and finds the slipper there and is like, well, I can't go back to my parents. They just say I'm some sort of wizard. So he ventures off to try to get back home. So the daughter disappears. The mother had just magically appeared. Oh, and also I forgot to mention that the princess had said that she'd been charmed like that for 12 years as well. So it just seems odd that that the devil appearing, the dwarf appearing, and this happened at about the same time. I don't know if it's like certain things are supposed to be lining up here, but in any case, the slipper disappears. There's no mention of this going forward, which is odd because of what happens, not next, but the thing after. The next thing is he encounters three giants who are fighting because they have an inheritance from their father and they don't know how to split it up, how to divide it. What's the inheritance? Well, we got this sword. This sounds a lot like the three robbers in the previous thing. We got this sword that if you say all heads come off, but yours. He's like, a cloak of invisibility that apparently also turns you into a fly. This is just mentioned and then once and then never brought up again. And boots that if you wear them, they will take you will just teleport wherever you wish to be. And he's like, okay, I'll try to help you with this, but we need to test to verify these things are good. Give me the mantle. Puts it on, disappears, and becomes a fly, and then he takes off and returns to his normal form. It's like, okay, but it's like, where the fly thing came from, I don't know. That's just randomly there, and then never mentioned again, as I said. Then he's like, okay, give me the sword next. And they're like, if you test it, though, then our heads are off. We don't like that idea. He's like, I won't do it. See the tree? I'll test on the tree. He cuts through it like it was straw. Okay, sword's good. Now for the boots. It's like, but if you use it, then you'll disappear. And we'll be out our inheritance. It's like, I promise I won't do it. Puts on the boots, immediately thinks of home, teleports back. With the cloak and the sword as well. So it even has line there that he has settled their inheritance by stealing from them, but in any case, I don't, that seems like it's a cliche in some of these fairy tales, because it was like that happened with the robbers, and I feel it's happened in other places as well, like just in general, I feel like I've encountered that in other stories, not just ones in this, so I do wonder if there's some specific symbolism there, or if it is just, yeah, it seems a fair way for somebody to get stuff that's technically theft. He gets home. And the castle there is in celebration. Because the queen is remarrying. My wife is remarrying? He's not happy, puts on the cloak, goes in there so no one can see him. And he comes up behind her. She's at the table eating at the feast. And every time some meat is put on a plate, he takes and eats himself. Every time her goblet is filled with wine, he takes and drinks it for himself. Then dismayed and ashamed, she arose and went to her chamber and wept, but he followed her there. She said, Has the devil power over me, or did my deliverer never come? potentially the deliverer line there, she's basically saying, am I bewitched like I was before, as though the man had never come? Kind of seems a fair question, but we don't really know what had happened before. That it makes sense that's what she says. It's also, by the way, we know nothing about the son, and it's not like, because maybe it's just me, but I'd probably still be pissed at the whole year. We have no reason to believe this hasn't just been days. It's like you're already remarrying. What the hell? But you think it's almost like, I got the slipper. I am your husband. His response to that, to what she said there, then he struck her in the face and said, did thy deliverer never come? It is he who has thee in his power, thou traitor. Have I deserved this from thee? Then he made himself visible, went into the hall, and cried, the wedding is at an end, the true king has returned. He's not happy. And it's like, actually saying that he struck her in the face. It's like, and in this, he's still invisible too, which kind of makes it worse, where it's just almost like confirming to her that she is being bedeviled. That just suddenly is struck from nothing, from the air. Yeah. But then it's also, because there's many people there for the and this is the final paragraph, many people there for the celebration. The kings, princes, and counselors who were assembled there ridiculed and mocked him, but he did not trouble to answer them, and said, will you go away or not? I do find it interesting that he would not answer them, which is also what she told him not to do earlier with the black-hearted men. On this they tried to seize him, because they don't want to leave, and pressed upon him. But he drew his sword and said, all heads off but mine, and all the heads rolled on the ground, and he alone was master, and once more king of the Gold Mountain. And that's how it ends. I'm not sure if this suggests that his wife also died in that. Certainly all of these people did. I really have no idea what the hell just happened here, though. I mean, it's like, is there no follow-up here? Like, he is now, I mean, if it was, his wife had died as well, and he just killed his entire kingdom, so he is now truly alone. As opposed to he alone was master. So, like, okay, yeah, you master there, that's fine. What is left with this? I don't know. I don't get this. And it's also, yes, he did fail in his promise. And how did it even put it? Yeah, they were there in a second. This is him wishing his wife and child to be there. They were there in a second, but the queen wept and reproached him, and said that he had broken his word, and had brought misfortune upon her. He said, I have done it thoughtlessly and not with evil intention, and tried to calm her, and she pretended to believe this, but she had mischief in her mind. So, it's a little difficult to be clear on what I think is going on there. Because mischief in her mind could be I'm going to leave him. And she does. But not necessarily the whole, I'm going to leave him and very quickly remarry. And that actually is a very curious thing, the idea of her remarrying like this. Because his return, if he were to return, that would be a major problem for her. So that does seem odd that she wouldn't. I mean, it would be one thing if she went back and just her stayed alone, but was the queen and tried to deny him entry or whatever, and like then work something with the slipper. It's like there would be other things to do there than she's trying to remarry. Yeah, I do not. I don't know. As I said, it feels like we're smashing together multiple tales here, because like he won the kingdom, and then suddenly it's this other story where we've got the mother is around that wasn't mentioned before, the daughter has vanished, the slipper is left, but there's no importance to the slipper at all, except maybe just like confirming to him that yes, this did happen. But it's also like it says it's been 8 years. He knows it happened. He also like the clothes he wore, the shepherd has. He did talk to his parents, and they saw all this. So it's like he doesn't really need the token. I don't know. I don't know. And it's also the idea of her, the mischief. How is it also? It. Not let him go. I know beforehand that will cause my unhappiness if he were to leave. So she's, saying that, yeah, you're gonna, if you go to see your father, there will be problems. But it's also like, cause her unhappiness. To then her making the mischief. It's like she's going from something bad will happen to I'm gonna make this bad. I don't get this. I don't understand it. Unless it is, and I'm really hoping this is the case, it is a mashup of different stories that were similar, but they're not coherent. Yeah. That they are not coherent here. It is, if it were a bring about her sadness, that, like, now she could never return home, or she would lose him, but then he, by adventure, like with the giants, manages to get home. But then the slipper is his proof that it is him, and so he can reclaim his kingdom. We should almost make it kind of like in the Odyssey, when Odysseus does return, he does have to prove it is him, in different ways, and he does also kill every. Because okay, so part of that, it's been 20 years, 10 years for the war, 10 years coming back, for the actual Odyssey. He gets there. His dog, he is disguised by the gods. His dog immediately recognizes him and then dies. The dog he had before he left. So this is an old dog. But in happiness at seeing him, like, wags his tail and then just dies. His son knows him. He does reveal himself to his son and a faithful servant. Going into the castle, into his home, his wife has been continuously putting off suitors. Because there does need to be a new king of Ithaca. She's constantly been putting that off. But the suitors have been abusing this by basically trying to squander all the wealth by forcing, at her expense, his expense, to pay for the feast. Anyway, Odysseus goes in, and because these are all, to his point of view, traitors, they have betrayed him, and they are thieves as well of his wealth. He, with the help of his son, and no, I think he did also reveal himself to his wife. And part of that was also to reveal what their marriage bed was, which is kind of weird. Not that that's what that's not how he confirms himself. That's fine. I mean, it's a little odd, but it's that it was a tree that he felled and was just then carved into a bed. It's like, okay, big tree. Anyway, so she knows and does, because there are also some women of the house that serve her that are also against her. So basically they make sure all the faithful servants are in one place. All the evil ones are in the main room with Odysseus and the son. And finally, here's the challenge. Here's Odysseus' bow. What Odysseus could do, and to prove your worthiness, you must string the bow, and then you must shoot an arrow. There's different descriptions for it, but it's basically 20. I think it in the version of the Iliad Odyssey, that I read, it was through the rings of these 20 things that would be on a ship. So, like, you'd run a rope through, you have to shoot an arrow through 20. It's not easy. But it's also his bow is so stiff that none of them could do it. But he comes in disguised as an old man and does it. Potentially, it is that there's a certain trick, a certain method to it, but it is also Odysseus is one of the heroes of the Trojan War, and in the Iliad is, as I recall, described as wise as Zeus. So he would be. I don't remember if there was any indication that he is one of the demigods, because there are some there, or if he was just that gifted of men. But in any case, he does that. strings it, shoots the arrow through. I don't remember if it's at this point it's then revealed that he is in fact Odysseus. Also, all something about how the weapons around in the hall were there, but it's like the doors are locked, and he and his son proceed to kill every suitor. And I'm pretty sure one of them also, because as I said, there were some women in the house that were not faithful. An arrow pierced him and into her as well. I mean, it is a powerful bow. He's a powerful man. Odysseus, though he may still be on the level of a man, not, well, a very strong man, whereas Achilles is superhuman. Odysseus is not one to be taken lightly. Very, very powerful. So I see some elements there. With the whole him having to return, there being the issue of the queen remarrying, although I don't remember her name, but in the Odyssey, she is constantly conspiring to not wed. And that is, in fact, how one of the women betrayed her, because she would say that when I finish this this tapestry, then I can. That, like, it's part of a morning. But she keeps, in the day, working on it, but then at night, taking it apart, so she does it again, to lengthen this over 10 years. So, yeah, I could see some elements there, especially because he does Odysseus kills all the suitors, which would be princes of the area, and similar. And in this, he kills the kings, princes, and counselors that were there. But Odysseus' wife was completely faithful to him. This, it suggests she is not. Even... It suggests she is not because, in theory, she is consenting to this new marriage. That she's not trying to... Because, to be fair, we don't know how much time has passed. But it still is... It's not explained as though this is compelled because there must be a new king of the Golden Mountain. There's no explanation like that here. There is no proof that it is him, but potentially the... Because it's also like, he comes home, and they're like, nah, you're not really the king. It's like, this is a problem. The slipper would be able to solve it. With the Odyssey, Odysseus does have means of proving he is Odysseus. Besides the fact that he should be recognized, the bow, the feat with the thing, knowing things that only he and his wife would know, the Queen of Ithaca, and also she does recognize him. Like once revealed, she then does see him, because that's how some of that does work in various legends and tales, where you are hidden, but once somebody does know you, now you see through what is hiding them, but others will still not see you correctly. So yeah, I really do not understand the story. I don't know if there's a moral to it either. It's also odd how he is angry and strikes her, which I guess in some ways is righteous in that she did betray him. Or did she? I don't know. It's kind of unclear. As I was just saying, and it's like, is this... She betrayed him by leaving him, but it's also well, you kind of set that up yourself, dude, so... But the remarrying is like, okay, no, that might be on her, but is it she's being forced to do that? And I don't know. I don't know. It just... And also, he technically did steal from the giants. Even if it does seem to suggest it was accidental. Yeah. Oh no, said he, I will, okay. No, we will not give them. If thou hadst them on thy feet, referring to the boots, and were to wish thyself at the top of the hill, we should be left down here with nothing. Oh no, he said, I will not do that, so they gave him the boots as well. And now when he had got all these things, he thought of nothing but his wife and his child, and said as though to himself, oh, if I were but on the Golden Mountain. At the same moment he vanished from the sight of the giants, and thus their inheritance was divided. It's like, it's weird, because it does start off where he is a very good man. Here he, accidental or not, has just stolen from them. He also accidentally broke his promise. I mean, I'm not entirely clear what's going on here. So, it might be about him falling. You know, the fall of this good man into something else. But it's like, Why are we having details like the sister that disappears, the slipper that disappears? Why are we having this stuff? I don't get it. I don't get it. So I am hoping, and I'll try to stop it here, but I am hoping, like I've already said, that it's this is just a combination of stories that were not put together coherently, or it could be, like I've said with other things, maybe there's just symbols here that I am not recognizing. I don't know, but I feel it cannot just be the symbols. I feel it has to be that there's a lack of coherency, because it is incoherent. As I said, the sister disappears. Why'd you mention her? The slipper disappears. Why mention it? Yeah, so anyway, this has been a long one. It also was a somewhat long story. Yeah, so the next one is the singing soaring lark. Okay, and just turning the page, we have a plate here, an image, and went thither, accompanied by the lions. So, princess with lions. Okay, we'll be finding that out next time. See you then.